Our math warm-up today are a couple of word problems. So let's go ahead and take a look at the first one. Danny has a collection of 45 shells. He found 1/5 of them on a beach in Florida. How many shells came from Florida? Go ahead and pause your video and work that out and come on back when you're ready. Okay, so let's have a look here. I did 1/5 of 45, or of course you can turn that into a multiplication problem. 1/5 times 45 over 1 equals 45 fifths, which turns into 9 shells. Let's take a look at the second one. The librarian placed an order for 64 new books. Today, 3/8 of the books arrived. How many books arrived today? Go ahead and pause your video and work that one out as well. All right, I took this problem and started it off the same way, but set it up just a little bit different to give you another way to look at it. 3/8 of 64, or what I did was took 64 divided by 8 times 3 equals 24 books. So how did you do? For your math message today, you're going to take out your student math journal and you're going to complete journal page 222. And you're going to complete that on your own, and then you're going to get in a group and you're going to discuss your strategies as to how you solved each of the problems. And then I want you to make a list about the steps that you might use when you have these types of problems. So you're going to pause your video, you're going to complete that page, and then you're going to discuss with your group how you solved it and make a list that you might use for later problems today. Today's lesson is open response fundraising. We are doing this lesson to be able to make sense of problems and persevere to solve them. We are going to practice creating models, and we're working on becoming more precise with our work. So how we're going to do that is think about your math message today. Use similar methods used to solve the problems in the math message to solve the open response. So let's take a look at your open response today. The title, of course, is fundraising. It says we have 2 fifth grade classes raised money for their local animal shelters. There are 20 students in Class A. Each student raised $12. There are 20 students in Class B. Each student in Class B raised 1 5/10 times as much as each student in Class A. Question 1, how much money did the students in both classrooms raise all together? And question 2, look back at your work, show or explain how you can tell your solution makes sense. So when we look back at the problem, look at that important information. We have 20 students in each class. Each student in this class raised $12. Each student in this class raised 1.5 times as much as each student in Class A. So I'm going to remind you of some things to think about as you are explaining over here. So let's do that now. Be sure to explain how you know your answers make sense and not the steps you use to solve the problem. So for example, what is wrong with this? I multiplied 2 5/10 by 410. I used partial products multiplication and I got 1025. So think about that for a minute. What is wrong with those two statements? Did this person explain how they know that their answers make sense? The answer to that question would be no, they did not. So do not be this person. This is not what you're doing. You're not listing your steps that you use to solve the problem and just that. You could list your steps and then explain how you know your answer is correct. Be sure you have evidence to back it up. Think about estimation is going to be one of those key things in your explanation. When you are asked to explain how you know your answers make sense, you need to make sure that you're not giving me the steps you use to solve the problem, because that doesn't really explain why your answer makes sense. So let's take a look at an example. What is wrong with this? I multiplied 2 5/10 by 410. I used partial products multiplication, and I got 1025. So does that explain why your answer makes sense? No, it does not. Does it just list steps? Yes. So we have no idea why you did the steps that you did, whether it makes sense that you used the steps that you did, the methods that you used, do they even make sense for this particular problem? So those are the kinds of things that you need to think about. So let's summarize what you're going to be doing today and thinking about. When asked to explain why an answer makes sense, we need to explain why the strategy makes sense, not the steps that we use to get to an answer. I see. I hope you will as well. Good luck.